Okay. As I mentioned in the previous session, I teach a course on Jewish film at the Jewish Museum of Australia. It's an 8-week course, and this is one of those 8 weeks, together with what I did last session on Orange is the New Black. And what I want to look at today is the Pesach Seder on the big screen, because when you look at Jews on television, there's Jews doing lots of things, but something that Jews do a lot on movies is have Pesach Sederim. And when I was researching this, I found that there's actually over 20 different film or TV shows or something where Jews celebrate Pesach, and you don't find that with any sort of chag, so I thought that would be kind of an interesting thing to explore. Also because every generation talks about Pesach. It's something that is used a lot in like lots of liberation struggles. They talk about Pesach, and they talk about Pesach as a metaphor for freedom and that sort of thing. And I thought this could be a good way to say what's the meaning of this festival, because it's a festival, obviously, it's the highest participation festival, so more Jews mark Pesach than they do any other festival, even though Pesach's a difficult one. You know, everyone's been through a Seder and not liked it once, I'm sure. But why does Pesach sort of still have that? So I thought this session could be a good chance to explore it. So I'm going to look at 4 different shows, which each have a Pesach Seder, and then we're going to talk about each one, and so please feel free to contribute. So the first one is created by a guy called Aaron Sorkin. Is everyone familiar with him?
No.
Has everyone seen the Social Network film or The West Wing? Well, so they're his shows. The Newsroom as well. The new Steve Jobs film, that's his film as well. So he's kind of like, he's very well known. He's won a lot of awards as a Jewish writer, producer, director. So this show was made in 1998 to 2000, and the show is about, it's a fictional TV station where there's a team of journalists, and every week they produce a show about the sports. So basketball scores, all of that sort of thing. But the show is actually what happens behind the scenes. So what happens in terms of them, all the politics of all the journalists and what's going on and all of that sort of thing. And the episode that I'm going to show you is towards the end of the season, and there's a whole lot of issues between all of them, mostly relationships issues, social issues, who likes me, who likes who. And the other thing is, in this specific episode called April is the Cruelest Month, the network is trying to cut down the amount of journalists, and one of the journalists is going to get fired, and they don't know exactly who. So the scene of the Pesach Seder is happening around this question of who's going to lose their job. And specifically, there's 2 characters, Maggie and Jeremy. And Maggie is very upset because in a previous episode, Jeremy dumped her in favour of dating a porn star. So that's all you need to know as context for watching it. So as you watch it, there's 2 things I want you to think about. One is, why is there a Pesach Seder happening in this scene? Like, because you could do the episode without a Pesach Seder, so it's in there for a reason, so I want you to try and work out why it's there. And the second thing is, what does this tell you about Jews in America? The fact that this exists on TV, what does that tell us? You'll probably recognise some of the actors because they're quite well known and they've been in a whole lot of other stuff as well. So hopefully you enjoy it. The clip goes for about 8-9 minutes, so hopefully you'll enjoy it.
So it's Passover. Yeah, I know. I don't know anyway from being 28 and looking at a calendar, but my mother called me this morning just in case.
You doing anything?
What? We got the 2 shows.
Yeah, just... What? Elliot Will and I doing a little something between shows.
Say it?
It's not gonna be a big deal, just kind of break some months, say a prayer.
That's great.
Okay?
Yeah?
It's not gonna be a big deal.
Let's make it a big deal.
No, I wanna keep it small, I don't wanna make a lot of noise about it.
I understand. Quiet, understatement.
Yeah.
I'll go write the pageant.
The pageant?
Well, there are sections of the Haggadah that, quite frankly, could use a polish.
You're gonna do a rewrite on the Haggadah?
It's not written in stone, Dan.
Actually, some of it is.
I'll need a company of players. Who's coming?
Well, me, you, Elliot Will pretty much represent the Jewish population around here.
Let's throw open our doors.
You think?
Yeah, Passover is about the telling of a great story to those who've never heard it. Usually it's small children, but Gentiles will do.
Alright, well, ask whoever you want, but I don't think anybody's gonna want to be there.
Why not?
Because I'm gonna be there. believe it or not, Jeremy and I have a little Passover Seder in between shows. I don't know, actually, I thought it might be kind of fun. We never had a Seder together, me and you.
Yeah. But I've never been to a Seder at all.
Yeah, well, this one's like there's not a stampede of conversions or anything. But, might be nice if you want to come.
No, I don't think so, Dan.
Just asking.
Yeah, not gonna do this stuff.
Yep.
1720 for the ALEs.
Good, thanks.
I am.
Cue Sarah.
What are you doing? Rehearsal. Time?
60 seconds back.
Make it snappy. Abraham, we are simple, honest, hardworking people, and our lives are good.
I completely agree, Sarah. I hope we never have to leave my father's house or even this land.
But Abraham's wish was not to be, for one day, while tending to his sheep, Abraham heard
The voice of God.
Abraham.
Dave's God.
Yes?
Who's that?
It's me.
I'm hearing things. The wind must be playing tricks with my ears.
It's not a trick, it's me. I've chosen you.
Chosen me?
I've chosen you, you've been chosen.
I don't like the sound of that.
No, it's okay. What I want you to do is this. I want you and Sarah to leave your father's house and leave this land and go forth to a place called Canaan. There, in Canaan, you will become the founder of a great nation.
Okie doke.
10 seconds, live.
The wind must be playing tricks with my ears.
the genre writer.
In 3, 2. That's all for us, but like your next door neighbor, we just won't go away. We'll be back at 11 with the West Coast scores and highlights.
You've been watching Sports Night on CSC. We'll see you later.
Music, go. Animation, go. We're out.
Rehearsal's in 1 hour. I need Joseph, I need Jacob, I need Pharaoh.
What about Pharaoh's assistant?
Yes, I need Maggie.
I broke up with you first.
I'll need Pharaoh's executioners.
Pharaoh wasn't executed.
That's one interpretation. And the problem is, I'm already on page 9 and I haven't introduced Moses yet. It's problematic if you're telling me the story of Exodus. Yet it's an epic tale. So maybe it isn't problematic. Or is it problematic that I'm talking to myself, or that is the creative process. Alright, stop now.
A porn star?
Yes.
A porn star?
Yes.
He broke up with me because I wanted to do too much. I wanted to have too much fun. So logically, his next girlfriend would be a porn star?
I was not entirely forthcoming before.
When?
When I talked to you before about Rick Rogers and Prime Sports,
What do you mean?
in the next few months, there are going to be massive rollbacks.
You think him and Elliot are in danger?
No.
Jeremy?
Now
Don't ever misunderstand me, Dana. I hate Jeremy's breathing guts, but I love him like I've never loved anyone. Plus, which I honestly don't think we could do the show without him.
I know.
My point is, that if anyone's job is worth fighting for, it's... Oh, God. I believe they want to fire me.
All it is an instinct right now.
Let's go. Where's Pharaoh? I can't work like this. Natalie!
Yeah.
Your Honor.
Can I touch you outside?
What's happening a lot today?
Out there.
Somebody find me my Moses. It's almost time.
It's almost time.
Well, I've got another 500 or 600 years, but we're getting there.
Hey. A porn star?
Yes.
You slept with a porn star?
Never actually got that far.
You dated a porn star and never slept with her?
Yeah.
What a goober.
Thanks. Natalie,
Yeah.
you okay?
Yeah.
Look for a second now.
Dana thinks there's gonna be some rollbacks.
Does she think it's gonna be you?
Yeah.
Dana's not gonna let it happen, Natalie.
It's terrible.
Dana's not gonna let it happen. And neither will I.
I miss you.
Okay. Let's go back inside.
Jeremy, what the hell am I supposed to do?
You're Moses.
Ah, Moses.
Yes.
Why don't we all take our seats? Anywhere? Right there, Steve. I was hoping, if no one minded, I was hoping on saying a few words before we started. I know I've spoken to you all individually, but it's worth saying out loud on this occasion that my behavior last week, both on and off the air, was regrettable. I appreciate those who've forgiven me, and I understand those who haven't yet. I just say that these are fractious times, professionally, personally, socially. I suspect in the next few days we're going to hear that our Olympic budget has been cut back dramatically, and that there might be other cutbacks that could be far worse. It seems to me that more and more we've come to expect less and less from each other, and I'd like to be first to start bucking that trend. We need each other badly. Badly. I need you all badly. Hey, how's it going there? No, I'm trying to tell him how I feel about him.
You're good, Dad.
You're better.
Anyway, I saw this guy in my video store. I started thinking that I wouldn't trade the last 10 years working with you for anything. Not for anything, Danny, I swear to God.
See, Duke.
I'm doing good.
All right, come on. Let's just keep going.
Is this supposed to be called?
Go.
You know, we got a lot of repair work to do.
You know where we start?
Where?
Get our show back.
And God heard their cry and said unto Pharaoh, Slavery is unholy and will not stand. We'll end it now.
But Pharaoh ignored the will of God. God allowed his voice to grow.
Let me be perfectly understood. Every man, woman, and child is my creation, born of this earth with an absolute right to live free. And my laws, as their will so commands them. You will let my people go, and you will do it now.
And once again, Pharaoh ignored the will of God.
Yes.
And that was a mistake.
Yes.
God then looked down at his lineup card, pointed to a kid on the bench and said, Moses, you're up. About damn time the cavalry showed up around here, wouldn't you say? Jeremy, would you bless this wine and all these gifts in front of me?
Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher bachar mikol ha'am v'ramamam mikol ha'ashon v'kidshanu b'mitzvotav.
Okay, so a lot going on in that scene that we just saw there. I just want to pick up on a few things. The first is just putting aside the setter. What did you learn about the dynamics in that newsroom from that scene? What are a few things that you picked up there?
Tension.
Yeah, good. There was tension. And what was happening during that episode, really? There was a lot of apologies. There was a lot of people telling each other how they feel about each other. There was a lot of coming together, resolving past differences, resolving conflict, all of that. Now, in most TV shows, the episode where everyone resolves all the conflicts is generally the Christmas episode, right? Can everyone think of a Christmas episode you've seen? Yeah? Where at the end everyone, I really do love you, Dad, and sorry, and this is how I feel, and whatever. So what they've done here is they've taken the classic Christmas episode, which is something you see in every American sitcom, every year, you know, it's very, very common, or Thanksgiving episode, and they've turned it into a Pesach episode. But it's got all of the dynamics of a Christmas episode. Now, why do you think they used Pesach? Because they could easily have done this as a Christmas episode. Why do you think they did this around Pesach and not around Christmas?
Redemption.
Yeah? Explain. Think of what they did when they read the Haggadah. How did they change the Haggadah? Did you notice what they did? With the Haggadah, they weren't reading a traditional Haggadah.
No, they wrote their own.
They wrote their own, and the theme was Moses coming with the cavalry and Moses saving everyone and Moses being very interventionist. And not so much God was absent. I don't know if you noticed a few times God, where's God, where's God, you know. Moses was black as well. So they'd changed a lot of the traditional, you know, ideas of what Pesach is to make it something that suited, I guess, their thing. And Pharaoh actually, if you look at it closely, represents in this thing the corporate boss. So the corporate boss is the one that wants to fire everyone, and Moses is the little guy who's fighting to keep his job, because that's the whole metaphor here. And I love that an American show, when they need an archetypal good guy and bad guy, look at Pharaoh and Moses. So what we're seeing here is essentially this notion that Pesach is something mainstream enough that it can be used to talk about this. The other thing, I don't know if you picked up on, is Josh Molina, who's the character who was playing the main role there. When he said the Kiddush, he said Adoshem. Did you pick that up? Why would he say Adoshem?
It's not real.
So he personally is an Orthodox Jew. So he can't say God's name. He can't say that because he doesn't believe you should say that when you're not doing a tefillah. And obviously he's acting and there's many takes, so he didn't want to say that name. So he said Adoshem. And turns out that he actually went to, he grew up in Young Israel of Scarsdale in New York. Sorkin, the guy who wrote the show, was his high school classmate. And once Molina performed the Heimlich maneuver on Aaron Sorkin, whilst he was eating a hamburger during a play. And as a result of that, almost every Aaron Sorkin show features Josh Molina in some role or other. So it's a funny little story how these two Jews have managed to come together. But what's even more beautiful is, if you think about it, how many shows will the producer say, look, you can't say a word in the script, so say your own word, and that's okay. It's quite amazing. And so what you've really got here in this show is a whole series of contradictions. You've got a committed Jew who dated a porn star, who works on a mainstream TV show on a Saturday night, writes his own Haggadah, directs a cast of Gentiles to tell the Exodus story, but won't say God's name in vain. So when you think about, I wrote that sentence because I was trying to put together what we just saw, could that happen anywhere else except America? No. So what's this telling us of the place, what's this telling us about Pesach and about the place of an American Jew? What does it make you think about American Jews when you
time to shine coming?
Yeah, it's like that whole notion of Jew as the outsider doesn't exist anymore. Okay, we've become so insider that we can do this on a mainstream show, and it's like normal. And then I was thinking actually of the main sort of drama shows in Australia. Have you ever seen any Pesach scene in any of these shows? No. Would you ever see a Purim, Pesach, Yom Kippur? No. You wouldn't dream of it in these shows, right? Why not? Right, because no one would get it. Okay, everyone would get a Christmas or a Thanksgiving or something like that in one of these shows. No one would get it. So I think there's something really beautiful about what this show is saying about the place of American Jews, and it's also saying something else interesting. My friend Rabbi Chaim Shalom wrote this. He said, the fact that the Seder story can be used as an analogy to the team's fight against the evil corporate bosses shows that the writers expect the audience to be able to understand the central themes of Pesach. Once again, an almost uniquely American phenomenon, as in most people in America wouldn't, and most people in Australia wouldn't assume the average non-Jew gets the Pesach story. And he has a final point, is the final theme of the episode is how the workplace has become a replacement for family in the postmodern world. Because if you think about it, where should a Jew be on Seder night? At home with his or her family. And here what it's saying, you now as Jews don't have family anymore because you all live in different places and you're all away from your community. So your community is the people that you work with. And what it's saying is you don't need to let go of your Jewish identity. In your workplace, you can still do that. Now, I can imagine for those of you that work in a non-Jewish workplace, how many of you would feel comfortable getting 10 of your workmates for lunch hour, giving them a script and say, let's do a Seder play? Yeah, you would?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, where do you work?
I'm in university at the moment, so yeah.
Good, so that's great. So that shows, I guess, that you're in a very sort of open environment. You wanted to add something?
No, look, I just wanted to query, while I understand your interpretation of it,
yeah.
I've always wondered why this, whenever you see a movie, somebody puts a Jewish theme in it, there's a hopo or something. And I see it slightly different, and please tell me that I'm wrong, but you see it as American society accepting Jews and, they're more prevalent. I see the reason being is that there's probably more Jewish producers than in Home Away and so on. So they've got more opportunity to do it. But I also see it maybe I'm a bit cynical, as a desperate plea for acceptance, that if they can put a little bit of Jewish into it, you know, the general public will become more aware.
Yeah.
And I see these movies, probably, I don't think it was in When Harry Meets Sally, but that type of movie,
right. Yeah.
you know, somebody's Jewish and
yeah,
there's
always a
hooker.
you're
I
right.
think the wedding movie, you know, the wedding singer and all that, there's always the
it's funny you say that.
Jew. Sorry, just to conclude on this, and I think, oh God, they're making a desperate effort for acceptance.
Yeah.
You know, why? It's not really relevant to this
So,
movie. I walked out of that movie and thought this movie was about, you know, a young kid meeting somebody, and some producer who's Jewish has thought, oh great, I'll get another plug in.
So there's this is I mentioned this is part of an 8-week course. So this is like the 4th week. But when I teach the course, the first week is exactly on that topic, and I look at a whole lot of films, like early black and white films, that show Jews doing that exact thing. And if you look at the history of Hollywood, like Goldwyn Mayer, like all the people who started at Fox, they were all Jewish. And they were all very much, like if you read interviews with them, they all actually say exactly what you said, that we're intentionally going to put in Jewish characters that are not like ourselves. That's what's interesting. They're putting in characters that are kind of like, for example, like if you look at, and I've watched a lot of Jews on TV films, almost always the Jew is married to a non-Jew. Like it's like a rule. Okay, even though mostly, you know, back then most Jews were married to Jews, why is a Jew also married to a non-Jew? Because it's going to be more palatable for a non-Jewish audience to see that reaction. The Jew is kind of always kind of nice and friendly and giving charity, and, you know, villains generally tend to be the Arab or the Russian or that sort of thing. You don't see many Jewish kind of villain characters in the early films made by these Jewish producers. So yeah, I think there is very much a conscious effort. And Aaron Sorkin, as I said, is Jewish, so is Josh Malina. So it wouldn't surprise me that they're trying to kind of do some PR here. Yeah, that's absolutely could be what's going on. Yeah.
I think it's also an excuse for okaying assimilation.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's trying to allow that to occur in a nice way, whereas as religious Jews who want the continuation of the Jewish people, that's not really okay.
Yeah.
And you know, we at the Pesach Seder, it's one time where you're not meant to have any non-Jewish people there, and it's kind of, that's also a contradiction.
No, I think that's a very good point, that generally the Pesach Seder is one of the more kind of, like if you're going to invite your non-Jewish friend to something Jewish, Pesach isn't what you would choose, you know, because it's got food, it's long, it's in Hebrew.
Not only that, halakhically, evidently, it's not correct.
Yeah, so I've heard different opinions about that. I don't really get into that.
And also it says that, you know, we against the non-Jewish people, you actually, there's a statement in there that says, you know, we hate them and
yeah, so there's a bit when you open the door for Eliyahu, you say Shvo Chamatcha ala Goyim, which is like pour out your wrath on the nations. It's something that came to the Haggadah after the Crusades. So it's not a traditional part of the Haggadah, but, you know, everyone says it now, and it very much says, you know, on Seder night, which was always around Easter, there were always sort of blood libels and passion plays and stuff like that against Jews, and this is a particularly dangerous night to Jews, so you ask God to avenge their blood on that night. And so here they've kind of turned that inside out to make Pesach this really universal thing. So what you can say here is, it's saying also, I'd say the dominant Judaism in America is not Orthodox Judaism. It's probably very different from Perth, where even if you're secular, the shul that you don't go to is an Orthodox one. Here in America, your dominant Jewish expression is something that's very, very out from that. Okay, I want to move to the next one because I'm a bit short of time. So the next one we'll look at is Crimes and Misdemeanors with Woody Allen. Obviously, I can't avoid Woody Allen on a Linwood program. So the film didn't actually do that well in the box office. The story is that there's a main character called Judah Rosenthal, and he's done something wrong. I won't tell you what he's done something wrong, but it'll be apparent in the scene. And he's trying to work out if God will punish him, or if not God, someone else will punish him for the thing that he's done wrong. And the film is based very much on Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, if you want to know the sort of back reference to it. And the scene I'm going to show you is Judah Landau is trying to register a horrific crime that he just participated in, and he's trying to work out what to do. So in order to make sense of it, he revisits his old family home, and he has a flashback scene of his family having a Pesach Seder. So he starts off just as like a ghost watching it, and then eventually he starts talking to his childhood family, and what they say is fascinating. There's a lot to unpack here, so we'll give it a go. It's about again 3-4 minutes. So here we go.
Can I help you?
Oh, I used to live in this house once,
Really? When?
many years ago. My brother and I used to race through these urbans. He's a wonderful kid, my brother. We were very close in those days. My father had high hopes for him, but it didn't seem to work out for him. Would you mind if I just take a minute? I mean, everything seems to be flooding through me.
Sure.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוות שר וציוונו על אכילה מורו.
Come on, Saul, get on with it. I'm hungry.
You mind me?
Nonsense, anyway. What are you putting everyone through this mumbo jumbo? Bring on the main course.
I apologize for my disrespectful sister.
This is the 20th century. You have young boys sitting here. Don't fill their heads with superstition.
The intellectual, the school teachers. Spare us your Leninist philosophy just this once.
You're afraid if you don't obey the rules, God's going to punish you?
He won't punish me, May. He punishes the wicked.
Oh, who? Like Hitler?
Me? How do you say that?
6 million Jews burned to death and they got away with it.
How did they get away with it?
Oh, come on, Sal, open your eyes. 6 million Jews and millions of others, and they got off with nothing.
How could human beings do such a thing?
Because might makes right. As until the Americans marched in and stopped them.
I don't like this talk at my cider.
Okay, all right.
I think this is interesting.
Yeah, you do. You know, wait a minute, there's this joke about the prize fighter who enters the ring, and his brother turns to the family priest and says, Father, pray for him. And the priest said, I will, but if he can punch, it'll help.
So what are you saying? You're saying you challenge the whole moral structure of everything?
What moral structure? Is that the kind of nonsense you use on your pupils?
Do you not find human impulses basically decent?
It's basically nothing.
Such a cynic, my sister, a nihilist. Back to Russia.
Well, listen, I happen to agree with May when it comes to all that mumbo-jumbo.
How can you say that? You come to every Seder, you pray in Hebrew.
Yes, I'm going through the motions. It's like any ritual. It's a habit.
What are you saying, May? There's no morality anywhere in the whole world.
Listen, for those who want morality, there's morality. Nothing's handed down in stone.
Sal's kind of faith is a gift. It's like an ear for music or the talent to draw. He believes, and you can use logic on him all day long, and he still believes.
Must everything be logical?
And if a man commits a crime, if he kills,
then one way or another he will be punished.
If he's caught, so.
If he's not caught, that which originates from a black deed will blossom in a foul manner.
You're relying a little too heavily on the Bible, so.
No. Whether it's the Old Testament or Shakespeare, murder will out.
you said anything about
You did.
Did I?
And I say, if he can do it and get away with it, and he chooses not to be guided by the ethics, then he's home free. Remember, history is written by the winners. And if the Nazis had won, future generations would understand the story of World War II quite differently.
Your aunt is a brilliant woman, Judah, but she's had a very unhappy life.
And if all your faith is wrong, so, I mean, just what if? If.
Then I'll still have a better life than all of those that doubt.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me that you prefer God to the truth?
If necessary, I will always choose God over truth.
I agree.
So very, very rich scene. Again, a lot going on there. If you look at some of the questions they're talking about there, you could do a whole philosophy course on each question really. Are we alone in the universe? Does every crime have a punishment? Should one value ethics over victory? Is God just or wicked? Should one value tradition or the truth? Will a life with no doubt be happier? Are these questions that you ask yourself at Pesach? No, because you're often saying, pass the charoset, can I have the wine? What's the recipe of that egg dip? You know, that sort of thing. But what should Pesach be about, really?
Questions.
It should be about these questions, and this family obviously has very extreme characters, from hardcore atheists and communists to hardcore religious people and everything in between, and they're trying to argue about this in a way to make sense of their Jewish identity. How would you compare this to the first Pesach scene that you saw?
This one was much more, I think, traditional.
Yeah, okay, good. So this looks probably a lot more familiar to us in Perth than would the other one that probably doesn't look so familiar to us. When Woody Allen was asked, why did you make this film? Epi, do you want to read the quote for me?
I just wanted to illustrate in an entertaining way that there is no God, that we're alone in the universe, and that there is nobody out there to punish you. That there's not going to be any kind of Hollywood ending to your life in any way. That your morality is strictly up to you.
Okay, now you've only seen one scene of the film, but can you understand why the director would say something like that? Which character does he want you to identify with, really?
Sister.
Yeah, the sister. Okay, so he's clearly an atheist, and he's trying to make a film to advocate that, but he's doing it in a very Jewish way. Why is he doing it in a very Jewish way? Because he's Jewish, because that's his upbringing. So again, we've seen here now something very, very different from the first set we look at. The next scene I want to look at is, I want to jump to Homeland. This was on TV last year. So Homeland is a show written by an Israeli guy called Gideon Raff. It's based on the Israeli show Chatufim. Gideon Raff produces both of them. And the episode I want to show you is where a CIA agent named Saul is invited for dinner at the home of the Israeli ambassador, who happens to be called Ittay, no relation, in Germany, and they're discussing regime change in Syria over a Pesach Seder. Okay, so that's the scene that we're looking at. And just as a little quirk, I went to the Writers' Festival last year and actually met Gideon Raff, who's a bit of a hero of mine. So,
is he writing the next Chatufim?
well, he's not doing any more Chatufim.
That's not fair.
Yeah, I know, because we all loved it, but I got to meet him, so I was very excited. Okay, so again, I want you to tell me again, why is there a Pesach Seder in this scene when they're talking about the situation in Syria? Okay, remember this is current, this was on TV last year. That's the CIA director who's not Jewish. That's the Israeli ambassador.
We eat maror, the bitter herb, to remind us of the bitterness of slavery our ancestors endured in Egypt. And for us, my family, my friends, celebrating this Seder in Germany, it is important to remember the slavery we endured under a tyrant worse than Pharaoh only 70 years ago in this land. On the streets where we walk every day, our parents and our grandparents wore yellow stars. Let's take a moment to remember. And let's remember the enemies we still have all over the world who wish to destroy us. We pray for the strength to defeat them. You assured me that there was no plot to overthrow Bashar al-Assad.
There isn't.
So, you honor me with your presence at my Seder table, so I'll play along. If you had a plan to replace Assad, we understand that it would be with General Youssef.
Youssef would be a good choice, if we had a plan like that. He's Alawi, Assad's cousin by marriage, and he's popular with the military.
Some say he was behind the chemical weapons attacking Khan al-Assad.
That would be Conditions have never been confirmed. Let's play another game. What's the alternative? Leave Assad in place?
When Arabs are killing Arabs, at least they're not firing rockets at Israel.
Is there a long-term strategy for peace in the Middle East?
You really think any of those murderers want peace? You used to be a good friend to Israel.
I'm still a good friend.
You used to be a better one.
Ittay, I've enjoyed this evening so much.
Well, I'm glad you could share it with us. So, Israel.
We need to leave in 15 minutes. Is everything all right?
Will be.
So if there was a meeting between Obama and Netanyahu, I'd imagine the dialogue would probably be something quite similar to that, as in, you used to be a good friend of Israel, now you're telling us to try and make peace in the Middle East. We as Israel think that's not so likely. Why is there a Pesach Seder in this scene? What's the Pesach Seder a metaphor for?
Freedom from slavery.
Pesach it actually represents anti-Semitism though. If you think about what they were talking about, it's that there was anti-Semitism in the Pesach story. Now we're in Germany, there was anti-Semitism in Germany. And in the world, we live in a neighborhood where people are firing rockets at Israel. And so the metaphor of Pesach becomes what? What do you have to do to your enemies? Destroy them. Plagues. Destroy them. Don't negotiate. Don't accommodate with your enemies. Okay, very, very different from Sports Night, where the theme was freedom. You see where I'm going? So what they're trying to show here is essentially that Pesach represents a metaphor for Israeli security and the needs to protect them, and that's why this scene was based around a Seder. I want to jump to the next one. Anyone seen this show, Our Sports Night, which was about this new American liberal thing? Last one I want to look at is called When Do We Eat? Anyone seen this one? So this was made by a guy called Salvador Litvak. He actually spoke at Limwood. I was in Melbourne a couple of years ago. And it's about a highly dysfunctional American family where they often don't have Pesach Sederim, but one year where they have a Pesach Seder, one of the children decides to put LSD in everyone's food because he thinks that will make the Seder somewhat more entertaining than if people weren't off their face. And also one of the children who in a previous year was very secular has become religious. So they're trying very, very hard to accommodate this child who's become religious, whilst at the same time they've got a lot of rivalry in between them about the meaning of Pesach. So this is going to show you again a Seder. I really hope it doesn't look like your Sederim because it's totally nuts. But again, something very, very different. And again, I want you to tell me, what does this tell me about American Jews that perhaps we haven't seen so far in the other Pesach Sederim? Just thinking for a sec.
What?
We'll be eating dinner soon.
When? His lordship is late. Nikki and I are starving.
This hasn't been koshered. It's gonna be kosher.
Yeah, since when?
Since I said so.
Don't worry, princess. I run the world's fastest Seder.
World's fastest Seder. I should live so long.
What was that? You already fucking mind.
No good. Actual kosher scroll. You pass over Papa. Nikki.
Now you're going for the whole gap, huh?
The Rebbe says, look righteous, feel righteous.
Danielle, Ethan. So this is Grace.
AKA the matzah bearer.
Sorry, I can't touch a woman unless she's related.
What is that, like a rule or something? That's so rude. Yeah, not to mention arbitrary.
Leave him alone. He's a good Jew.
And what, am a bad Jew?
Ethan! Whoa, oh, that's a beautiful hat. Why you
gotta look so Jewish. But the Nazis come, they're gonna take the blackheads first. Got a hell of a nerve pounding nails into my house.
Dad, Zuzu will protect your body and soul 24/7 free of charge. Mom.
Yes.
Paper plates.
Paper plates? In my house? Let me show you it.
Hold it. You think because some loony Rebbe tells you to put on a Hasid suit, you can take a hammer to my house and tell me to relax? Hey, Ethan, you haven't learned a goddamn thing since our last scene. There's no product, Ethan. You're gonna be in the toilet in 6 months.
That is old economy thinking, Dad. I made more money last month than you made in your entire life. I don't need your dinosaur advice.
Excuse me, you son of a bitch.
Oh, now you call Mom a bitch?
Get out of my house.
Dad!
Just hope people learn not to smash the sacred. Dad, it's not only a subject in the Jewish home.
Don't start with me, Ethan. You got religious because you lost all your money. Maybe this Hasid crap works in bankruptcy, huh?
I already promised.
Yes, I did, baby. Yes, I did. I got news for you, Ethan. Your life is about to change. Starting tomorrow.
Yes? Oh, fantastic.
Oh, wait. Who the hell are you?
Rafi. Oh. Rafi, this is my son Ethan. He's a good Jew.
Sorry? Oh, I don't speak Hebrew. Very interesting to meet you, Mr.
I'm Mr. Stuckman. I mean Stuckman. That's right, if you want to say that.
No, say that. I'm not religious.
Smart Jew. Bye-bye.
Oh, get me high, get me high.
Now let's cross the whole state.
Stretch them out, right? This room.
Please do the camel saddle. How do I sit up straight?
It's Passover. You're supposed to report Mom. Good job. Kosher enough for Moses.
But it used to heater.
Oh, good, Jenny. I got a space blanket in the suitcase.
Good. Well then, Hanukkah.
This I know something about. Nowhere in the Torah does it say I have to wear a yarmulke. It's traditional. You shouldn't make it out of nobody but God.
I thought it was because God is over you.
God isn't over you. God is everywhere. We're in God. The yarmulke just protects your mind because it separates us from the animals.
Okay, then why don't women wear them? Women should wear them as well.
Well,
I'll take one. Fine. Adara?
Dad.
This is the spike drink now.
Fastest Seder on earth. Page 7. Here's the Seder plate.
Not as nice as my mother's, but we all know what happened to that one.
Grace, the Seder plate is holy because these foods, they tell our story.
Sort of like the Last Supper.
The Last Supper was a Seder.
Wow.
Here's the egg, here's the bone,
Lamb, chicken neck,
greens across it,
maybe kosher wine,
and the horseradish.
which I bought extra strong because some of us have a lot to atone for.
Peg, just light the damn candles.
Blessed are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who has sanctified us with your commandments and commanded us to kindle the festive lights. Blessed are you.
Wait, Mom, there's a beautiful melody for the holiday blessing. It goes like, Baruch atah.
No melody.
This is Vanessa. Hi, sweetie. It's my client. Yeah, no problem.
Page 7. All right, lift your cups.
Okay.
Blessed are you, etc., the fruit of the vine. Blessed are you, etc., the seasons of joy. Cheers.
Stop, nobody drink. Dad, these are prayers, they matter.
Ethan, when you have a job, a house, a table, you remember to say that. Until then, just shut up.
Dad, these words can transform you. You want a new you? Do this right and it'll happen. Look how wise the Haggadah is. It says to repeat the holiday blessing, and that is the second chance to sing. Baruch atah.
No singing.
Dear brother in rare blessed memory. Oh, he could sing like a cantor.
Moving on.
Now the commandment is to drink, not sip.
Right on. Next is hand wash. Let's just rub them.
No, this year we washed. That's why I got these silver bowls.
Naturally, Kosher Seder means shopping for new stuff.
Guys, the Seder has power. It's not just about our ancestors escaping from the Pharaoh in Egypt. It's about us escaping from impatience and anger and envy, from our own inner pharaohs.
Ethan, focus on your own inner selfishness and stop interrupting.
There's a commandment to interrupt. That's how we learn.
It's more a commandment to read the Haggadah in Hebrew, like I did in my house.
Ah, this is my house.
What house? It's a tent. And to do things the right way. Your brother David, of blessed memory, he could read Hebrew like a rabbi.
Page 8.
Okay, so has anyone ever been at a Seder where someone wants to, like Ethan, make it really meaningful and talk about all the traditions, and someone else just wants to rush through it as fast as possible? Okay, what do you do in that situation when you're in that torn kind of Seder with these different people in the family pulling in different directions? What do you feel like doing?
Escaping.
Yeah, okay, you want to crawl under the table and hide, you just want to come back once they're eating the soup. Okay, so on the one hand, hopefully this is extreme, no one's family is like this, am I right? Okay, maybe not. Okay, but what does it show us? What do we feel as we're watching this?
Anxiety.
Yeah, anxiety, maybe some...
Really sorry for the son.
Very sorry for the son, sorry for the father, sorry for the daughter, sorry for the roughie the Israeli with a knife, you know, sorry for all sorts of people, but it shows us a very dysfunctional family with a lot of tensions pulling in very different ways. The guy that wrote this is a guy called Salvador Litvak. He's got a Facebook page called The Accidental Talmudist, which is really fascinating, and he often makes these really interesting observations of Jewish life, and the whole film is really something worth seeing before Pesach. If nothing else, it will make you love your family, because it gets so dysfunctional that you'll just appreciate that as much as you think your family's weird, someone else's family is much weirder than yours, and that sometimes gives me comfort. So just to wrap up, because I've only got a couple minutes left, what we've seen tonight, we've seen a couple of different Seders. We've seen the Seder as a symbol for celebrating integration into American society, as a metaphor for assimilation, that we've made it, and that even Gentiles want to celebrate our Seder. Then we saw the Seder as a metaphor for the inaction of God when bad things happen to good people, and that notion of crime and punishment. We've seen the Seder as a symbol for the conflict between Israel and her neighbours. We've seen the Seder as an opportunity to welcome the stranger from a different culture, even if that stranger doesn't exactly understand what's going on. And the last thing is we've seen the Seder as a symbol for the dysfunctional Jewish family coming together under great stress, yet ultimately coming closer as a result. And I could go on and show you more and more films if I had more time, but I think the point that we can see here is that the Seder can represent a whole lot of things that are far greater than itself. And what I've really tried to do today is give you meaning about what your Seder could be. And given that this is my last session at Limud, I'll just take the opportunity to say Limud is like this as well. Limud is really taste a whole lot of different things, see that there's a lot of ways to do, whether it be Jewish learning or Zionism or that sort of thing, or in this case Pesach, and see that there's many expressions of those things, and each of them is going to have meaning to different people. So some people might say, look, I'd love my Seder to be like the one in Homeland, and others want it to be like, when do we eat? But probably not. But you know, you've each got what you want your own Seder to be, and in a month from most of you, I guess, are going to sit down at a Seder and you're going to say, "B'chol dor v'dor chayav adam lirot et atzmo ke'ilu yatza mimitzrayim." In every generation, we're going to have to see ourselves as if we left Egypt. And when you do that, hopefully, things that you heard in the last hour will help you give meaning to the kind of Seder that you want, and hopefully take you one step further on your Jewish journey. So with that, thank you for your time. If you'd like a copy of this PowerPoint, or you want to contact me, feel free to shoot me an email. Otherwise, thank you. And while your Eli's here, I just want to say thank you to your Eli as well for everything you've done to create Limud. We really, really appreciate it. So, today.